Since the 1800s, the government has not been honoring the promises that they made with Native Americans. As a result, Native Americans have had to suffer more social and economical injustices than any other race or ethnicity. This is a crisis that has been ongoing for centuries. A crisis consisting of genocide, stolen land, boarding schools, ethnic cleansing, and oil pipelines being built on their sacred land. Not enough people are aware of this crisis, nor do they realize the power that they hold to hold the government accountable in creating change. The reason I'm speaking to you today is to make you aware of the injustices that Native Americans are facing in the hands of the U.S. government. I ask that after today, you join me in not only supporting Native Americans in this crisis, but in holding our government accountable. I will be discussing how the government is the direct cause of these social and economical injustices and why it is a significant problem worth resolving. As a result of the U.S. government not honoring the promises made, they have had to endure many injustices. To properly analyze this crisis, let's take a look at the history between Native Americans and the U.S. government. In 1869, the Treaty of Fort Laramie was created between the Lakota tribe and the U.S. government. In this treaty, the government promised land to the Lakota tribe. When the government discovered that this land had gold on it, they tried to annul this treaty and buy the land back. The Lakota tribe denied their offers over and over again, not wanting to accept the money. This led to the Black Hills War. After a year of war, the U.S. took this land back. In 1989, the Lakota tribe took this issue to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ordered the government to pay the Lakota tribe back for the land that they stole, with the value of over $1 billion in 2018. Again, the tribe will not accept this money because they simply want their land back. In the 1800s, many laws were created by the government which only benefited white settlers. In 1830, a law was created where the government can move Native Americans off of their tribal land to wherever they please. In 1887, another law was created where the government can buy tribal land, divide it how they see fit, and sell it to white settlers. Native Americans were rapidly losing their land and being displaced until 1934, where a law was finally put into place to stop this practice. As you can see, laws and promises were either created or dismissed by the U.S. government to further benefit white settlers. Now that we've talked about the past relationship, let's talk about their current relationship. Presently, there are problems facing oil pipelines. There have been several appeals and protests by Native Americans who are trying to prevent oil pipelines from being built on their sacred land, which is a violation of the laws put in place. In the 2000s alone, Native American tribes have been involved in over 70 lawsuits through just the Supreme Court. Many of these lawsuits revolve around land issues, trying to get the government to pay what it owes, or to either change laws so that Native Americans can finally make decisions for themselves. Now let's take a look at the cause and effect of this crisis. The government has control over the implementation or annulment of laws and regulations. Essentially, the government can change the rules to work to their advantage. This governmental system automatically puts Native Americans at a disadvantage. It further perpetuates the struggles that they face, and they have to play by the rules that the government creates. Native Americans are in many lawsuits with the government, revolving around delayed funds or trying to get the rights that they deserve. And the government does not make decisions in court overnight. After 13 years of litigation and 122 years of waiting, the U.S. government finally settled on a $3.4 billion lawsuit, which compensated Native American landowners who finally got compensation for the oil and gas harvested on their land. With the government holding Native American funds in a trust, they decide how to delegate the funds to Native Americans. As a result of this, Native Americans are consistently having underfunded schools, underfunded healthcare systems, and underdeveloped infrastructure in their communities. So why is this a significant problem? This has been an ongoing crisis that has not been taken seriously enough. The U.S. government needs to be held accountable for their actions. Our Constitution starts with "We the people," and our Pledge of Allegiance ends with "Justice for all." As a government based on justice, liberty, and equality, their actions go against their claimed core principles. To solve this crisis, we must spread the word, support this cause, create a movement, and hold our government accountable. American citizens should unite and create a movement for change. We should educate ourselves on this crisis, make it a topic worth discussing throughout America. We can follow Native American social media pages, share posts with our friends, vote, sign petitions, or participate in peaceful protests. America needs to show the government that we the people will no longer tolerate their behavior. We should hold our government accountable for their actions and make our voices heard. We need to pressure our government to change their ways and honor the promises that they make with Native Americans. By holding our government accountable, they will consistently honor the promises they make and change the way that they operate. The government must acknowledge this crisis and not solve it by simply offering money as a form of reparation. It's about more than money. The government needs to make an effort for conciliation and reparation. Native Americans need to be able to make decisions for themselves. A program should be developed to assist Native Americans who are in court with the government. This program will enforce the promises that the government makes and help Native Americans with legalities and counsel. This program can also refer Native Americans to other programs that will assist them in many areas of their life. Getting legal assistance will improve the chances of Native Americans getting the justice they deserve, and referring them to get proper assistance for their personal lives will give them a fair chance to pursue opportunities that were never available to them. Imagine a future for Native Americans where they are provided equal opportunities as a result of the government honoring their promises. Native Americans would not only have equal opportunities, but they would have a chance to live a life worth living. They could acquire jobs outside of the reservation, receive higher education, and have access to better health care. Native Americans wouldn't have to be stressed about having their land taken away or wonder when they will receive long overdue funding from the government. We would have a fair and honorable government, resulting in a better America. There would be long overdue conciliation and reparation between the government and Native Americans, a relationship that they have never had. Americans would be taking a step in the right direction towards righting their wrongs and taking accountability. If we do not address this crisis, the perpetuated injustices against Native Americans will continue to displace and disadvantage them, leading to the eradication of Native Americans. With limited opportunities and resources, Native Americans and their culture will be lost as time goes on. According to the CDC, Native Americans have the highest death rate than all others due to poor health care, high suicide rates, and limited access to fresh food or water. If the government gets away with this, they will try to get away with other unfair practices. The government will take from Native Americans until there is nothing or no one left, whichever comes first. The government would think that they're unstoppable, that nothing is wrong with their behavior. The United States will continue to be based on the lie of justice for all. Today, we discussed how the government is not honoring the promises made with Native Americans, resulting in a plethora of social and economical injustices. We've also discussed the ways we can solve this crisis and what the future would look like if we did or didn't address this crisis. Justice is long overdue for the Native American community. I ask that after today, you join me in holding our government accountable. Give Native Americans the support they need to live a fair and just life. Let's make justice for all a reality. Thank you.